And welcome to another episode of the Dave LewAllen Podcast. So pleased that you're joining us as we talk about sports stories, newsmakers, difference makers in our community and across the state of Michigan. And thrilled to have both a newsmaker and a difference maker in our studio today, Oakland University basketball coach Greg Kampe. It's great to have you here, Coach. Just coming from practice, so we appreciate the time.
Yeah, I didn't dress that good for you, Dave, but I'm so thankful that you have me on, and we've known each other for many, many years, so it's great for me to sit here next to you.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about your personal story, but let's first talk about your current team, which has already earned a share of the Horizon League Championship, and you have an opportunity, your team, on Saturday to win the regular season championship outright, and that's always a good thing.
Well, my parents taught me to share, but this is one time I do not want to share, especially when it's your arch rival.
Yes.
and it's senior day, and I got 4 seniors that are going to walk through their last regular season home game and the emotion of that, and more importantly, what they've won a ring, but now what's it going to say on the ring? Is it going to say, undisputed champion, NCAA tournament bid, Sweet 16? What's it going to say on that ring? And so there's a lot to play for Saturday.
So Saturday, 6 o'clock at the Arena. I know, and while you have good support and good crowds, you'd like to see that building jammed. And who doesn't like to celebrate a championship team? Here's an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, and we used to. I've had some great teams, that place you couldn't get in. And since the pandemic, it's slowly starting to come back. Everybody, all the schools at our level lost that community during the pandemic. And now it's starting to come back. Saturday's game was almost a sellout, and we're hoping for a sellout Saturday. It'd be our first one in a couple years. And this team sure deserves it. I mean, it's one heck of a team. We've got a quad 1 win at Xavier, or if we win Saturday, we win 15 league games, which would be a record since we've been in the Horizon. When we were in the Summit, we won 17 2 years in a row. But since we're in the Horizon, it'd be a record number of wins for us in the Horizon. And just great kids. To sell them all, we've got a 3.25 GPA as a team. It's just they do a lot of charitable work in the area, and so I love this team, man. I really love this team, and would love for everybody to come out and see this important game.
It would be, if I'm not mistaken, 20th win of the season as well. Yeah. So that would be the 8th time in your career that you'd have a 20-win season, with hopefully more yet to come with this team. I mean, you'll have to keep winning to win the conference championship, to earn the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. You've been there before, and that's got to be a goal for this group.
Yeah, I mean, that is the number one goal.
Yeah.
It is, unfortunately in this day and age, that's all people care about is, did you make it to the NCAA tournament? The regular season conference championship has kind of gone to the wayside. Well, the people that get it, I think it's the hardest thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
And we celebrate it internally, but the fan base, if we don't go to the NCAA tournament, they're going, a wasted year, And unfortunately, that's the way it is. Kids know it. It's our number one priority, because I said this on my radio show last night. We had about 100 people at the show, and I said, all of you people want us to get there. You live it, you breathe it, that's great, but it's not even close to how bad our players want to get there, because it is the ultimate goal, especially at the mid-major level.
Sure.
If we had the season that we had and we were in a Power 6 conference, we would be in the tournament already.
Yeah.
You don't have to win your conference tournament. And we would have probably gone 12 of the last 15 years, based on finishing in the top 5 of our conference, top 3 of our conference. But we don't get that. We have to win this conference tournament. And the pressure that it brings is just unbelievable on kids. And you'll see some of the stupidest mistakes in basketball. Not just our team, but other teams do it too, because the pressure's on every one of those kids in our league. But it's what makes college basketball great.
Yeah. College basketball has changed so much. I mean, your 40 years, you're the longest serving coach now in college basketball, right? Of coaches. I mean, I mean,
I'm grandpa. I'm the grandpa. Everybody likes me now. Who doesn't like grandpa, right? So it's crazy how when I was, started at 28 and people, he's this and he's, and now everybody wanted to say something bad about you. Now nobody says anything bad. They just, he's grandpa. He can't hurt anybody. He's just the old guy over there.
Yeah, the thing is, you still have all that fire that you had at 28 still, which is, let's be honest, a necessary ingredient in achieving success, right? You've got to be motivated and driven and demanding to the degree that you are as a basketball coach.
Especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
That I think it's more important now than it was 20 years ago. That if the guy in charge isn't motivated every day and doesn't come in with I use the word juice. I go, where's your juice today, guys? I need juice out here, right? But if the coach doesn't come in with it, and my staff, I want my staff with it too. It's not just me. It's everybody that's associated with the program. If you don't have that juice every day, you're not going anywhere because somebody else has it.
Yeah.
And the kids today are different. They're way different. I think any coach will tell you that. And because of that, they need to be pushed. They need motivation, and you can't do it like you did in the old days, screaming and yelling and swearing and all those things.
I remember, and you might have been D2 still then, but I remember during a game, you know what I'm going to say too.
Oh, yeah.
You had guys doing push-ups because you were unhappy with something that happened on the court that they should have known better. I mean,
that was when sports talk radio was just starting, and boy, did I help their numbers and the people in there, because they killed me for a week on that.
Yeah.
And
but that doesn't happen today.
Oh, if I did that, I wouldn't have a job the next day.
Yeah, but I mean, again,
and I wouldn't do it because
of course
it's not going to work.
Yeah,
right. It's
different kids, different times.
So when I was playing, I was a football player, and they would grab me by the face mask and slap me on the top of the head, my helmet, and that's how I grew up.
Right,
and so when I first started coaching, that's how I was. And I can't remember what year it was, but maybe in the early time of Division I, so probably 2000, 2001, I had a kid on my team he had transferred to Oakland, John Champagne. And John was a football player at Western Michigan, an offensive lineman, and his brother was playing for me, and he wanted to play basketball, so he transferred here. And he's coming off the floor during a timeout, and he did something just stupid. And he's 6'7", he's towering over me, and I'm looking up at him, and I take my fist and I bam, bam on his chest. You can't. I got a call the next day from someone in the president's office, and I was told this is not something that we should be doing anymore. And that's the last time. And that's 25 years ago, probably. That's the last time that I've, to me, it was the way I was coached. It was motivation. The kid loved it. I mean, he looked at me and but you just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, look at Harbaugh, right? At Michigan, he's pounding on, JJ's shoulder pads and, pounding them, getting them ready, firing them up, yes, different times. So how different is it in terms of kids and reaching and or motivating your players today versus 20 years ago? And why is it different? Just our times?
Well, people always say to me, and we talked about this off air, about we have a player problem today. We don't have a player problem. We have a parent problem, in my opinion. And what's happened in today's society, and I see it every day, is parents have bubble wrapped their kids, and they want the best for their kids, so they bubble wrap them, and if something goes wrong, they try and fix it. Where, when I was growing up, if something went wrong, my dad, pick yourself up and go do it right, and he never tried to step in there, and it's in everything. It's in sports, it's in grades, it's in that teacher's wrong because even if back in that day when I was growing, if they were wrong, it didn't matter. That was the authority, and you respect authority and you do what they want you to do, and because of that change, you just see the difference in the kid. And so as a coach, I have to make a decision. What is my job? My job is to make that young man the best basketball player, the best student athlete, and the best person that he can be. And I get them at 18, and they go into manhood when they leave me. And
let's show example of that as well.
Oh, perfect intro.
Because
right.
you had a tweet, and sorry, Elon Musk, to me it's still a tweet. It's X, but it's still a tweet.
I caught that too.
Yeah, tweeted a photo yesterday of two of your players, Chris Conway and Trey Townsend, right? You tell the story.
Well, they both came in as freshmen, and you can see the picture, right? They became the best of friends. I mean, in all my years of doing this, I've never seen, those two kids were inseparable. You know, for the 4 years they've been here, you didn't see one of them by themselves. If they came to a women's basketball game, they were there together. If they walked into practice, they walked in together. They lived together. It was the friendship and bond that they had is what this is about. This is what makes your heart go. You know, it soothes your soul, right? And
to see them grow up, and you've had a role in them growing up and growing as individuals.
A small role, because they do it. They put the work in. You know, we have a saying at Oakland: everybody wants to be great until they find out what they have to do to become great. Yeah. And that I say that 3,000 times during the course of the season. Those two kids understood what they had to do to become great, and they did it. And just look at the difference. Look at what they did themselves physically. Look at the smiles on their face. And you know what? They won a championship. Yeah. And that's what makes me the happiest, because every recruit we recruit now is going to look at those two pictures, and I'm going to get the ring once we get the ring and show the ring to them. They went from this stage to this stage, and they're champions.
And isn't that what will also make Saturday even more special, assuming you do the job, your guys, and win that game and win that championship outright, which is all the more reason, right? Fans of Oakland basketball and college basketball fans in general ought to come out and be a part of that experience.
But even if we don't, they still won the championship.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I want it to be, I don't want to share, but, you know, they're going to come back 10 years from now. I hope I'm still alive. They'll come back 10 years from now, and they'll get honored on the court. And they'll probably have this kids the same age, and, you know, who knows what's going to take place in their lives. But going back to what I was saying, that's my job, is to – and then the fans want my job to be to win games, but if that's what I focus on, I miss out on all this. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we want. And obviously this year's been a tremendous year, and we see it. But I had to change how I went about my business because of how the kids have changed. Yeah. And you just got to make that decision as a coach. Am I right, or do I change and make sure I get the results I want from these kids? And I heard a priest say a long time ago, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? And I want to be happy. Being right doesn't mean anything. It used to. Yeah. Dave, it used to. But I heard him say that at a wedding. He said that to the bride and the groom, and you're going to have tough times, and you have to think to yourself, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Yeah. And I've taken that to heart.
Words to live by, for sure. All right, so we talked about these two young men. There aren't as many of those stories on college basketball teams anymore. Two guys come in, or any players coming in at 18, leaving at 22 or 23. Now you've got the transfer portal. You've got name, image, likeness. You've got, players making a decision to go to a school, and something doesn't go right, and I'm out, coach. See you later. Some of those young men wind up in your program, but this is a whole different thing. I mean, I remember growing up and seeing the University of Michigan teams and Kampe Russell and C.J. Kupek and Steve Grody and these guys, and they were there for 3 or 4 years, and you got to know them, and you identified with them and the team, and were able to establish a rooting interest. A lot of that, sadly, is gone in college basketball in particular because of what's happened.
And you just used a great word, sadly. And don't think that we, Izzo, myself, all the old guard, don't think we don't use that word and we talk about it. It is sad. It's really sad. And it is what, my reputation as a coach back in those days was I was pretty good at taking a young man that didn't get a scholarship offer from Michigan or Michigan State and turning them into a player that by the time they're senior could be a star at Michigan State. We won a lot of games with those kids. Now they leave me. And they don't want to develop all the way they want to develop and go. And in recruiting now, you'll hear, I'll tell you a quick story. I had I bowl during the basketball season. I bowl just to get away for a couple hours, right? And the grandfather of a player said, my grandson, you're his favorite. His dream would be to go play for you. And I don't want to usually recruit a local guy unless I know for a fact they're going to be good, because you just don't want that
Sure.
And so he was good. And I said to him, all right, if that's the case, then I will recruit him. So we recruit him, bring him in, offer him a scholarship, and a couple days later he commits to a different school. And so the next week I go in, I said, I thought we were the dream school. He goes, well, you are, but, his real dream school is Michigan. And he knows that if he came to your school, we were really good at we had all my guards were coming back. He probably wouldn't get to play, but if he goes to school X and does really well, then maybe he can transfer to Michigan. And that's how the mindset is now. And so what I told you off camera, and I mean this, is Chris Conway, the young man that you saw in that picture, he's a dying breed. Because Chris Conway and Trey were so good friends, and Trey has started every game since he got here. Went to Oxford High School. His dad played for me. He was in my basketball camp, and I would have never guessed that he would come in and start as a freshman, but he did. And he's going to be the player of the year in our conference, okay? Chris didn't have that kind of success. And you could see his body in that picture. As a post player, he had to get bigger and stronger. And most kids today, after the first year or maybe the second year of not playing much, would have run. They would have run, and it would have been Kampe's fault. It would have been Oakland's fault. Everybody in his life would have told him, you're better than that. You should have been playing. You need to go here, get in the portal, and see what you're worth. He didn't. Now, his mother is unbelievable, and he lost his father growing up, and so he and his mother were real tight. She was a big component of getting your degree and loyalty in that. And at some point, Chris Conway decided, this is my fault I'm not playing. And look what he did to his body. And now we beat Xavier at Xavier, and I think he had 16. He's a story. He really is. And that story's going away because 95% of the kids that get in his position, they're not going to say, it's my fault. They're going to say it's the coach's fault, or, I came to the wrong school or whatever. And they run, and then they end up, you never hear from them again.
You've had 2 players drafted into the NBA, 5, I think we talked about, play in the NBA, dozens playing professionally overseas. And that's a byproduct of your coaching, their hard work, and opportunity, I suppose. But the experience is more than that for everybody on your team, right? It's to grow, it's to learn, it's to get an education still, it's to graduate, and most of your players certainly do that.
We're losing that, though.
The
transfer portal and the NIL and all that, we're losing that emphasis. You recruit a kid now, and the only thing they want to know is how much money they're going to make. That's I get it.
Even for Oakland.
So used to be when I call a kid, first contact would be, and you're having that conversation, the first question is, can you get me to the NBA? And my answer is, well, I have 5 players in the NBA: Kendrick Nunn, Kay Felder, Keith Benson, Raul Marshall, Jamal Cain's playing for the Miami Heat. So I can do that. Can you get me to the NCAA tournament? Well, we've been there 3 times in the last so many years, and so we've been there. We've won a game in the NCAA tournament, right? And then it was, what about your facilities? And I would move on to something else because they're not very good. But that's what the conversation would be, okay? Now there's one question, and that is, Coach, how much money am I going to get? What do you give as a stipend? What is your NIL chances? it's all they ask.
Yeah.
And it's mostly because of the people around them.
Right.
Are telling them to do that. And, so it is what, so you're going away. Plus the transfer portal. So I had a son, and he went to a big, I'm not going to say the school because I don't want to criticize or anything. He went to a Big East school, and he's a baseball player. And he played maybe 3 years. And that school that he went to, he's a business major. My son's made more money in his life and he's 36, than I've made in my whole coaching career, because he's very smart, and he's in the banking business. And he was a very, very good student at this school. So going into his fourth year, I think it was his fourth year, he was walking, it's a school in a city, he was walking home, and he had a gun pulled on him. And he called and told us. His mother went down and got him. It's over. You're coming home. And he came home, and when he transferred to Oakland, the school he was at listed top 10 business schools in the country. Well, Oakland is a good business school too. And he had 5 classes that he took that didn't transfer.
Wow.
And he had A's and B's in them. He was a 3.4, 3.5 student in college. So if a kid leaves a top business school and comes to another school and has 4 or 5, what is happening to all these kids that are transferring?
Yeah.
How many classes aren't being taken?
Right.
So they're not going to graduate, are they? How are they going to graduate?
Yeah.
If they, and without sitting out a year now, you can transfer 3 times and not sit out a year.
Yeah.
How are you going to graduate?
Yeah.
In his case, he had to sit out a year, right? So he could make those. I had to pay for it, which I didn't like because he was on scholarship there.
Yeah.
So it's a long story to tell you how's he going to graduate?
Yeah.
How are those kids that transfer? So in 4 or 5 years, we're going to look at this. And we had, in the early 2000s, the graduation rates of college basketball players, especially of black minority college basketball players, was at an all-time low. And they put all these rules in, and they worked. And we had that up to 70, 75%. Well, in 5 years with the transfer portal, you're going to see it go back down to 20 to 30%. And then everybody's going to throw their hands in the air and say, why?
Yeah, because it's self-inflicted.
If you transfer, that's fine, but you should have to sit out a year.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, that's not fair. No, it is fair because you're going to lose classes. You need the maturity. If you're transferring, you need the maturity of figuring it out, right?
And you need time to be able to figure it out because the results aren't necessarily going to be instantaneous in the classroom or on the court, especially with a new program, new coach, new systems, whatever.
And people are going to say, it's big money. It is big money. It is a business.
Yeah.
But we're still college age, and we're still trying to get them their degree.
All right. So given all of that, and Tom Izzo's a good buddy of yours, you guys are friends, but friendly rivals at the same time, support each other, right? Support each other's programs, support charitable endeavors. All that is good. He's facing a lot of the same stuff too, right? I mean, that you're talking about. I mean, he's used to having 3 and 4 year players, and guys are in and out. And I mean, is it fun still? Has this taken all the fun away from is the joy level reduced? I mean, where are you at today in this game?
So he's got a player right now that, he was this 5-star freshman and physically not quite ready, and he's trying to coach him the way he coached in the past and make it tough on the young man to you look at all the great players that he took as freshmen and turned them into he's trying to do that with this kid, but the world's trying not to let him. Social media in the world, they're criticizing him.
Well, just this past weekend.
Right, he didn't play the last 12 minutes, and Tom Izzo knows what he's doing. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
I mean, God, he's, in my opinion, the best college basketball coach in the country, and maybe ever. I know John Wooden and all the greats, but he's in the same breath with them, okay? And just let the guy coach. But no, you're not going to. They're not going to do that. They're going to criticize. They're going to, whatever they do to him, they're trying to push him to change. And we'll see what happens. But he's trying to make he's trying to turn those kids in to pros. Right?
Well, he's had a little bit of success doing that. As to your point, do you want to be great or not? And are you willing to work, to be it?
Everybody wants to be great until they find out what they have to do to become great.
Yeah.
And then that pool goes down to about 5%.
Yeah.
But he's got the 5% over the years, and they became great. I mean, Cassius Winston, I saw him, obviously, in high school. I thought when it was over his head.
Not the most gifted kid physically.
I thought I was going to get him in the transfer portal. I thought in those days they transferred because they couldn't play and they came down. Right? They came down a level. And so I recruited Cassius. I cheered for him and that because I was thinking, he's going to get up there. He's not going to get the minutes he wants. And Tom turned him into the best basketball player in the country and won, 3 championships with him, and would have won probably, had a chance to win the national championship if COVID doesn't hit. Yeah. And that's just who Tom Izzo is. He is unbelievable at making you earn your way. And I go back to the beginning of the podcast. They bubble wrap them. They don't want them to earn their way. They want it to be given to you. Yeah. And they want to help. They don't want you to fall on your butt and have to learn how to pick yourself up. And unfortunately, in my world, that's how you become great.
Yeah. All right, so that NIL transfer, does it take some of the joy out of doing what you have done and done successfully for 40 years?
It leads to frustration, but it doesn't take joy away, because I'm going to tell you something. I'm as happy as I've ever been about winning this championship. Yeah. And I had gotten to the point where I didn't care anymore for myself. I mean, what am I going to do? 40 years, I've got more championship rings than I have fingers, right? So, we got to win this. It became, for me, in the last 10 so years, we got to win that championship for those kids so that they have a ring, so that they come back to Oakland and that. But I'm going to tell you, winning this one, the joy of winning this one, because we did it differently. We changed the formula, and we got older. We got a bunch of transfers. One of the things, Dave, that's the parents and the kids are going to find out is you've caused this. You as players, you as parents, you as the basketball community have caused that we as college coaches now, okay, if you can leave, if you're not good enough, you have to leave. We would never do that. Right, you weren't good enough.
Right. We made a decision on you. We made a commitment to you. We're committed to you.
We're loyal. Yeah. And we're going to make you the best we can, and you might be the 12th man for your whole career, but you're going to get your degree from Oakland. I'm going to send you into the world where you can make money and have a great life. That's over. You're not good enough to play. You're on a basketball scholarship. Guess what?
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
And so everybody, all the people are going to get mad. The other thing that this has created is we're not recruiting high school players.
You're recruiting the portal.
We're recruiting the portal. And everybody's doing that. Now, there are coaches that are recruiting because they're saying, well, this kid's really good. But at our level, he's really good. In 2 years, he's going to leave you. So why would you want an 18-year-old that you're making good when you can get a 20-year-old that's already gone through that? And so the fallout of this is all those high school kids that are losing opportunities. That's scholarship money and all that. And they're going to have to go D2 or prep school or junior college and then prove themselves again. There's consequences to everything.
Yeah, which makes Chris Conway and Trey Townsend even more special, right? So I want to bring this back around to your team now, today, and again, what's in front of them. I saw the IUPUI game and was struck by, number one, I mean, you guys lit it up from the outside. It was incredible. It was a three-point shooting display that you don't often see. I mean, just red hot. But one young man on your team who is a transfer, Jack Golke, right? Tell me about his story, because he was not a D1 player.
Right.
Now he is a D1 player. 10 for 15 in that game from three, and he's scored a lot of other threes for you. Tell me about this young man and his journey to you for this championship season.
Yeah. So Jack Jack wasn't recruited very heavily out of high school. He's from the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, and he went to Hillsdale College in Michigan, and he redshirted, okay? And he got hurt. So he had 2 redshirt years. And the reason that I like this story is because he finished his 4 years at Hillsdale and graduated and finished his commitment. And because of COVID, he had 1 more year. And the coach at Hillsdale is a very close friend of mine. Calls me on the phone. He says, I got a guy that you would love. Because, I'm known as a shoot the 3. Yeah. We like to get out and shoot 3.
Let's play fast and shoot 3s.
Right. This guy fits your system perfect. And I said to him on the phone, because he knows me and he knows our program, and he was the coach at Hillsdale, and he's a great coach. They won championships at Hillsdale. They went to the Final Four in Division II. I said, I'll take him. And so we recruited Jack, and he came, and it was over. He didn't even think of any other schools because his coach told him, Oakland's the place. And he's he's 24 years old, which again goes to what we were just talking about. Those young kids coming out of high school, how are you going to compete with that? You're 18, he's 24. Who do you think I'm going to play? Yeah. Right? And he is just an unbelievable shooter, but more importantly, he's an unbelievable teammate. And to fit in with Trey and Blake Lampman and Chris Conway, guys that have been in the program 4 years, he's exactly what we needed. He was that side piece that came in. I think he's going to be the 6th man of the year in our conference. We've won a lot of games because of him. He made a shot at Xavier, that great win we had at Xavier. We were up 1 with 40-some seconds to go. The ball got kicked out to him, and he didn't even blink, man. Bam, 3. We're up 4. So he's just a heck of a story. He's going to finish with his master's degree, and he's going to go into real life. He wants to try and play. He might be able to play in Europe somewhere, but he'll find out. Yeah. He's just such a great kid and a good student. He'll come back, and he'll get on with life.
But in basketball, if you can shoot, you can play, right? I mean, and here's
like you've been to my basketball camp. Every kid that walks into our basketball camp, the first lecture we give them is shooting, and I start the lecture with, young men, if you can shoot, you can play.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he can do it, and he's playing for you and playing a role in a championship season. Anything else we should know about in advance of Saturday? And I only wish our mutual friend Reggie Hall, Titan Reggie, would have killed him the season the Detroit Mercy is having. But by the same token, he would be very excited about the fact that you two are closing the season against each other, Detroit and Oakland.
And I would have walked on the court 5 minutes before the game, and I would have heard from the ceiling, Kampe, we're going to beat you today. Oh, I miss Reggie, man. I miss him.
Reggie was our producer at Channel 7 in sports for all those years, and there was no bigger Detroit Titan fan than Reggie Hall.
Yeah, he was a Detroit Titan. Yeah, I don't think he used that word mercy, not many people know this, but I got into the day he passed away. I was there. I snuck into the hospital when word got to me that what had happened. Can you believe I told them that I was a relative? And they looked at me and they let me in. And I was there. I got to put my hand on his shoulder. And, he was the best, man. God, he was the best.
And he had the personality. It didn't matter if he was going to, Wisconsin, Green Bay, or any of the other, stops along the way in the Horizon League. He made friends. He had friends every place.
Yeah. He would not have been happy about his team, but he would have still been their biggest fan.
Oh yeah.
And he would have thought for sure they're beating us Saturday. So there's every opportunity there, and rivalry games. You never know what happens. I don't care if they're 1-29. It's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
And,
all right. So in advance of Saturday, what else do we know about your team, this team? As fans watching college basketball.
Well, Trey Townsend should be the player of the year in the league. I keep saying that. I hope it happens. But we can score the ball. We play a goofy zone that we can get into you. The reason we won the championship this year, which is unusual for a Greg Kampe coach team, has been our defensive side of the ball. We've been inconsistent offensively all year, but we seem to be hitting our stride right now. We're really we're really playing pretty good basketball. We had a bump in the road, but we needed one the other day. But, we've won, I think, 13 of the last 16, and we're shooting it, we're guarding, we're just playing really good, and now's the time to be doing that. I'm really excited.
Yeah. And we thank you, as always, for joining us on the Dave LewAllen Podcast, YouTube, on your favorite platform for podcasts. We certainly encourage you to join us again and encourage others to take a listen and see if they don't like what we have and are presenting as well. In the meantime, thank you to Josh Bowron, our producer-director, and again to you for listening. In the meantime, be safe, be kind.